right. This one won't be very long. This is about seeking patterns. I did this in a very early vid when I was first starting this channel a few months ago. We know this is G, 3rd fret, 6th string. Where else can I find G? Down here. Right? 4th string, 5th fret. But let's start observing patterns. G, and just below it on the 5th string, C. So we know, is it a good guess if I say this G has a C directly below it? They sound familiar, similar, don't they? Does this C sound like this C? It does indeed. B, A, G, A, B, C, G, A, B, C. Where else can I find G? Here. Right? 10th fret, 6th string. Just below it should be a C. There you go. G, A, G, A, B, C. Right? Now, what if I were to play G here? Sorry. Just below it should be a C, shouldn't it? No. Because between the 4th and the 5th, between the 3rd and the 2nd string is a 3rd, right? Well, 4ths, 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 3rd, 4th. We have always known that we tune the 3rd and 2nd string a little bit differently. We go from the 5th fret. Nope. Better. So why am I doing this? A certain amount of time has to be devoted to finding patterns in the guitar. And this is the stage that I'm at. I learned a long time ago. I don't want to jump subjects, so let me just finish this thought. So because we're in the situation, this is a G. Just below it should be a C. Let's test it. G, A, B, C. It fits. So only in the areas where the 3rd and the 2nd string are separated by a 3rd do we concern ourselves with the variances in the pattern, or in this particular case, variance, just one variance. We know that that's a 3rd. So let's just leave that aside for now and find out not how it applies to chords, but we're going to try something a little different. We've always known there's a certain pattern in the cage system, and again, this is something I've gone over before. Now this is a D shape, right? It's a lovely sound. But let's say I'm having difficulty knowing what note this is, right? Now we know it's a A. But if above an A is an E, right? Because we know A, E, 5th string A open, E string open. But if we know this is indeed an A, well, logically, the note up above is an E, right? A, B, C, D, E. So what would happen if I created a chord along the lines of E major in the D shape, and I wanted to hear an E minor after that? How do I know it's an A minor? Let's reverse it. E minor. And then has a different texture, doesn't it? But if I do this, D major to E minor instead of E minor to D major, which I just did. Sounds nicer, doesn't it? Under what circuit? So the reason why I'm talking about this, because one of the things that happens when you start to play less over a period of time, and in my case, 3 to 4 weeks where there was no structured practice, as important as it is to return to structure, I really need to start thinking about the patterns that I found common along the fretboard. So I know if I'm playing an A, if I'm playing a logically speaking, what note is this? Will I find consistencies? So let me listen for it. So I know this is an A. Ba, ba, ba. So how can I repeat that? This is an A. Nope. E. So what do we know? A, B, C, D, E. It's the fifth. Do we see A be different elsewhere? No. Why? D. So why is it different? Because here I'm straddling a different key. See? This is a different relationship that I'm playing here. I'll do it again. Right? They're separated by 1 fret. Oops. And this is separated by 2 frets. Why? Because down here, when I'm playing in D shape, I've got a different relationship. Why? Because I'm playing the open string of A. So I'm not going to find the same pattern, am I? It's very similar to when we play here. We know that the difference is this, right? We got A, G, A, B, C, C sharp, D. So why is it D? Look, listen to this. And that doesn't work. That works better. A, D. You see what I'm trying to do here? So, again, this is not a guitar teacher. I'm just giving you an example of what my process is in seeking out patterns of a guitar that normally aren't covered in lessons. We're all told to just memorize the keyboard, the fretboard. That's all well and good and very important. But I can't help but think that how we go about it is far more relevant, where we start to memorize the relationships and then logically just surmise that, right, they're separated by 5th or 3rd. Now, if you remember from a video way back, I show you that A, B, C, D are separated, right? But what if I were to play an A major chord up here? So what would that look like? Sorry. There you go. What's wrong with me? Right. So what do we have here? We have the A, but here we have an E. It's on the second string. So that's a fifth. So why is it separated by a fourth down here? Because we have these relationships to deal with down here. So that was an error that I did just now. Do I delete this video or just run with it? No, I'll run with it. The relationship I was trying to determine with the cage system was, I remember that when it's E major shape, fifth. E. That's a B. So E, F, G, A, B. So we know this is the fifth. It's a rather nice riff, isn't it? So that's more or less what I'm doing. I know it's a time-consuming video. I thought I was going to leave it at 5 minutes, and it's gone to now to 13, close to. So this is me just trying to find my bearings again. And what I'm trying to go over is in the C shape. C, D, E. That's a third. So the second string after a C shape is always separated by a third. Is the same true for an A shape? Not necessarily so. A, B, C, D, E. So we have a fifth that we concern ourselves with, which has something in common with the D shape. Because we know this is A, B, C, D, E. So we know the second string of this chord, D shape, is a fifth as well. So they have that in common. The A shape and the D shape have that in common, where the second string played in the shape of in the chord shape is the fifth of the root note, meaning the first string in this case. So we've got A and D down. What about the other shapes? C, we determine it's the fifth, it's the third, C, D, E, right? Okay, so what about the G shape? G and B, G, A, B. Oh, that's a third. So the G and the C shape have that in common. So that's 4 letters we got covered. D shape, A shape, so we know these are separated by the fourth, A, B, C, D, the fifth, sorry. So we know the D shape is separated by the fifth, right? First and second strings is the root note and the fifth of that. So we have that covered, A and D, right? And for the C and G shapes, we know we have the fifth, C, the third, C, D, and E. Same thing with G, G, A, B. So what other letters are there? The E shape. Look at this. This is the E, and this is B. E, F, G, A, B. That's the fifth. Does the same apply if I do an A and E shape? It does indeed. This is the A, and this is the E. A, B, C, D, E. It's the fifth. So I'm going to be looking for these patterns all over again for the next, until the end of next week, to refamiliarize myself with this, because unless you're a truly advanced guitarist, intermediate players need to be very wary of not ignoring past lessons that came to them relatively easily, because they tend to forget them. They don't have the same relevance. All the more reason why learning songs is so important. And the thing that I have been the worst in terms of diligence next to learning timing. So what we covered was that, essentially, look for the patterns on the single notes of a string. We know E here is A here, right? We know just below it is that. How do we know that? So we got E, and I'm fairly confident just below this E is an A. See how they sound familiar? Oh, sorry. Lovely, isn't it? Let's try B. B-E. B-E. Let's try one more example. What's below a D? So let's try the sixth string. Below this D is what? A G. You hear that? D, G. All right, 10th fret, 5th string. G, sorry, D, D, and G. So let me look for a D. There should be a G just below it on the 4th string. Beautiful pattern. This is how we get to know all the notes on the fretboard, in my opinion. It's a long process. Don't go spending money on memorizing the fretboard. Have the joy of discovery. You don't have to have the earliest foundations of your playing. Not all the foundations of your playing have to be pointed out every step along the way. It seems like a soul sucker to me. You need to learn to get used to really holding this instrument in your hand pretty much on and off all day, or whenever you're free, really, and look for those patterns. Now, I already told you about the caged patterns, and I'll repeat them again. All right, so I want to do a D shape, right? Oops, sorry about that. A, because I know this is an A, right? So if I want to know what note that is, instead of going the boring way of saying, oh, this is a G, A, B, C, D, E, don't look for it that way. It's boring. Do it this way. And we know A is somewhere else. No? So we know A and E is consistent throughout. But because this is the 12th fret, this is the full octave, right? A, A. Makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? Because you have to compensate that. The open string is a fret that's not seen here, right? We know this is the 1st fret. call this the open string fret. The open string. But the open string is almost as if it's a fret of its own, isn't it? So, you hear that? Isn't that lovely? Look for those patterns. Have fun with it. Yeah, it's a long post. Sorry about that. But if you just stay diligent and commit, I would say maybe 20 minutes a day, seeking out patterns, or let them reveal themselves to you. And the only way to let them reveal themselves to you is to be fully present when you're playing. Don't watch telly. Don't watch a Netflix vid. Spend some time alone in your room and just play. Not noodling. Noodling, you're not conscious of your noodling, right? We just do this. This is a very familiar pattern that I play. The only way I'm going to break out of it is to really know the relationships between the notes and the intervals, and then the chords and so forth. So I feel as if I'm in a late beginner stage, and it's going to take me over a week to get to that intermediate-ish stage, I think. That's only if I continue to play and practice 2 to 3 hours a day, which I did not do today. But tomorrow, you can screw up, try again tomorrow. It's that simple. So I'll leave you guys alone. It is Saturday night, and we will speak tomorrow to give you, I don't know what I'm going to give you, but I probably will be something a lot more structured than this organic approach that I'm proselytizing. Is that proselytizing? Yeah, maybe it is. All right. Big love to you.